Welcome back to Minecraft Philosophy. If you haven't checked out the previous videos yet, I highly suggest you go check them out. For this episode, we will continue on with Descartes and see how his search for absolute certainty pans out. In the last episode, we looked at the different kinds of doubt that caused Descartes to question everything he previously held as true. In the second meditation, Descartes comes to the realization that there is at least one thing that he can know. Let's begin with a couple of questions. First off, where does all of this doubt come from? Why can't I know things about the world with absolute certainty? To answer these questions, let's take a look inside your mind. Welcome to your mind. Please wipe your feet on the way in. As you can see, there are two dispensers in the wall of your mind. Consider them as your senses. They are the only way you can observe things outside of the iron box that is your mind. The items being shot out of the dispensers are sensations being picked up by your senses. The question we have been dealing with is how we can know whether or not the items coming out of our dispensers accurately depict the world outside of our iron boxes. All of the kinds of doubt described in the first meditation reside in the wall between the inside of the box and the outside. The demon is just the guy who restocks the dispensers with items that might or might not represent the world. Now consider the fact that thoughts are occurring in this mind. Regardless of whether or not the thoughts are accurate, they exist. Even if the demon is deceiving me and putting random items into the dispensers, that does not change the fact that I am having sensations. The demon can get between me and the world, but he cannot deceive me with the fact that I am thinking. After all, if there are thoughts, there must be a thinker. So this is where absolute certainty can be found. I am certain that I think, and therefore that I exist. But what exactly is this I that exists? As of now, the only thing I am certain of is that I think. I am skeptical about the existence of my body, but I can imagine myself without a body. If I refrain from asserting anything that I can doubt, then as Descartes words it, sum res cogitans, I am a thinking thing. However, some people might feel uneasy at this point. In our daily lives, we are constantly dealing with supposedly physical objects, but we hardly ever bring the fact that we are thinking to the forefront of our minds. So we are left in between the certainty of something unclear, the existence of our mind, and the dubiousness of things that appear clear, physical objects. Descartes intends in the second half of the second meditation to show that regardless of what we know about things outside our minds, we will always know our minds more clearly and distinctly than anything else. Now, consider this large piece of wax. When I tap it, it emits a sound. If I go up and sniff it, I might smell the scent of honey. It's yellow, it's cold, it's solid. And these are all of the properties we use to describe the wax. But let's take a moment and burn this wax and see how the properties change. Let's take another look at our wax now. Well, it's all melted now. It doesn't smell like honey anymore. The color is no longer yellow, it's orange. And it's hot and liquid. And when I touch it, it doesn't make a sound. As you can see, all of the properties we used to describe the wax by have changed. Is this the same wax as before? Descartes believes that it is, and that no one in their right mind would say otherwise. But how can it be, when all of the properties have changed? If we remove all of the properties that changed, then we are left with only one, extension. That is, the wax before and after is extended through space, and therefore this process shows that all physical objects are essentially just extended things. We understand the wax not through our senses, but through our understanding. What our senses told us about the wax before it melted was completely different than what it tells us now. Therefore, the mind must be our means of understanding physical objects. If this is the case, then every time we come to an understanding of physical objects, we are strengthening our understanding of our own mind. Now that we have something we are absolutely certain of, it is time to hear Descartes' answer to the question, how can I know anything outside of my mind? Most philosophers and most philosophy students feel dissatisfied with his answer, so I will not spend too much time on it. Rather, I will give just a quick overview. Within my certainly real mind, I find the concept of a perfect being. There is no way that such a concept could have been created by me, an imperfect being, neither could it have come from anything outside of me, other than a being equal to or greater than the idea. God is just such a being, and therefore the fact that I have this idea of God implies that he exists. If God were not benevolent, then he would not be the perfect being of which I have an idea. Therefore, God must be benevolent. A benevolent God would not deceive me. Therefore, because he would not deceive me, I can be certain of things that appear clear and distinct. Finally, the world outside of me is as I perceive it. I'm not going to analyze this argument now, but might do an episode in the future about the question of God's existence, where I might spend some more time on Descartes' argument. The important part of all of Descartes' work was the first two meditations. The importance of Descartes' skepticism and his wax argument lies in the separation of mind and body, which starts a long tradition of arguments focused on answering the many questions brought up in the meditations. Later on, more skeptics like David Hume would further question our understanding of reality. Realists like John Locke answer the skeptics by claiming that our minds properly depict the world. Idealists like George Berkeley, on the other hand, claim that the world just is ideas in minds. All of this culminates with Immanuel Kant's critique of pure reason. Most of these people and ideas I just mentioned will be topics for future episodes. But for our next episode, we're going to move to a different area of philosophy. In the next episode, we will begin dealing with ethics and how we should live our lives, the possibly slightly more practical side of philosophy. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe to see the future episodes, and leave your comments and suggestions below.